Today in KillieFC TV we've got a slightly different interview, ex-Scotland legend who comes to most home games here at Rugby Park, Mr Ian Ure. Ian was born in a wee village south of Symington where he grew up. He signed for Dundee in 1958, then won the league with Dundee in 61-62, made the semi-final of the European Cup, losing to AC Milan, signed for Arsenal where he played for 6 years before going on to Manchester United, before finishing his career with St Mirren in 1973. Ian won 11 Scotland caps, including a famous victory against Spain, winning 6-2 in the Bernabeu. Ian, your younger days, where did it all start playing football?
I started with Ayr Albion Youth Club in Ayr. They were the...
You know, I like to say that word on KillieFC TV.
That's my hometown. But I've lived here in Kilmarnock for about 40 odd years now, so...
You saw the light.
I suppose I've been accepted.
Absolutely. So Ayr Albion was where it started?
Ayr Albion, yeah.
And how did Dundee come about?
It was a guy called Jimmy Ross who was the Dundee scout in Ayrshire. I think he was based here in Kilmarnock, in fact. Jimmy used to keep an eye on all the youth team activity in this area, which was quite big then. You know, teams like Saxon, Glenfield and Kennedy, what's the other lot, Galston. They were all top youth teams at the time. So it was a great wee league, and Jimmy was the man for Dundee in this area. So he kept on threatening to take me up for a trial, and I had no more thought about being a professional football player at that stage than flying in the air. But he kept on biting my lug, saying, "I'm taking you up to Dundee for a trial." I said, "That's very good," and eventually I went.
Right. The man that signed you, Willie Thornton, he left after a year, and Bill Shankly's brother Bob took over. Was it obvious right away that there was something special going to happen at Dundee in a couple of years' time?
I think so. Bob was a rough diamond. Bob. A spade was a spade, and he didn't suffer fools wisely. He was a real man's man. I think we got Bob brought in players that no one thought about, from people that he thought were over the top. People like Bobby Seath, who'd come up from a championship winning side Burnley the year before. And Bobby Wishart at left half, who was signed from Aberdeen when it looked as if his career was at an end. So Bob, you could see he was building something, and he got rid of a lot of deadwood, if you like, from the club, who were just hanging about Dundee, going nowhere. And so he was first to recognise those who weren't really giving their all, because that was the main thing with Bob. If you played 90 minutes, you were his man.
Right. The last game of the season in '62, do you remember it well? Against St Johnstone.
One of the finest days of my life. We beat your uncle in the goal.
That's right.
For St Johnstone that day.
Yeah.
And they got relegated. Relegated by I think it was about .03 of a.
It was goal difference.
Goal.
I know that. Yeah.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
There was no chance of them going down that day. No chance, even if we'd beaten them 10-0. But the result came through for, I think it was Easter Road, where the other lot who looked like going down, or who were fighting relegation, they won 7-0 at Easter Road. I think there was something smelly in that, to be honest. I think I did hear in the passing. It was a credible turnaround.
But great celebrations in Dundee after you won the league.
Not half. It was one of the nights of my life.
Then Arsenal came calling. Who came from Arsenal to sign Ian Ure for Gunners?
Billy Wright that signed me. He was the manager at the club at the time, and he signed me. I wanted to go there. It was
a world record fee at the time for a centre half, £62,500.
£62,500. You wouldn't get a good junior for that these days. That's a fact. It's nearly a fact.
It is. A week's wages to sign for us.
Yeah.
Obviously, yeah. Pal for Dundee, Alan Gilzine, he signed for the other half of North London.
He went a year after me. He went down to Tottenham, who were the big rivals. It was what Kilmarnock and Ayr. Should have mentioned that word there.
No, you didn't. That's twice.
And we played against each other quite a bit then. For the next 4 or 5 years, 6 years.
Hard tussles against them?
Aye, they were a better team than us. They had a better team. We had quite a disappointing team at Arsenal at that time, and they'd signed me after all, so it didn't help much. No, they were a better all-round team, so we were the kind of underdogs of the two, which we took badly.
Almost a reversal up until this year, where Tottenham have been there.
Aye, that's right.
Yeah. I forgot to mention the European Cup one with Dundee. The following year you won the league. Tell us about that run against getting to the semi-final against
AC Milan. Aye, we got to the semi-final and it didn't surprise me. Dundee played the right kind of football at that time, which suited playing against the Europeans. It was a possession game Dundee played. We didn't lump the ball up the park and chase it like most Scottish teams did at the time. If we could hold it, we held it. Everyone kind of was a ball player, if you like, maybe with the exception of myself. But no, everyone tried to play the ball. It wasn't just by. Obviously, you put it into the stands if you have to. But we, by and large, it wasn't a hit and run job. It was possession football. A wee bit like the games graduated to these days, because the game today. You watch a game, most teams play almost exactly the same.
That's right. You won 11 Scotland caps, but the one I want you to try and remember best was the 6-2 in the Bernabeu against Spain. Now, Scotland are late years of beating Spain anywhere, never mind the Bernabeu. What do you remember about that day?
Oh, that international. It was a summer tour. But we were supposed to. The Scottish team at the time was supposed to be going to Norway, Republic of Ireland, en route. We were supposed to beat them 6-0, and both warm-up games before we went to the Bernabeu, which was a big one, that we, as only Scotland can do, we blew it in both the games in Norway. What are reasons for that, I think, which I can't talk about in the part here. But we got beaten 3-2, I think it was, in Norway, or 4-3. And then we got beaten in the Republic of Ireland on the Sunday. After the Norway game, I get hooked. Myself, the goalkeeper, right down the middle, Ian St John, got rid of us for the Dalymount game against Southern Ireland. Horrible day, downhill Dalymount slope like that, wind blowing, roasting hot. Would you like it be? And I remember sitting on the touchline with the guys that weren't playing, thinking, yes, thank God I wasn't playing. Anyway, come with this. Then we're going to the big one in Spain, and it was a very makeshift Scottish team. Guys that you probably wouldn't know and would think played that day, but they played well. We played so well. Billy McNeil was at right back. They picked Billy and myself, hoping play a kind of double centre half. Alec Hamilton was injured at right back, so they played Billy at right back. They played me at centre half. Frank McContick was in the team from Arsenal. David Gibson. There was a lot of names. Davy Holt at left back. It was a good, terrific performance. I mean, we played really well. And Spanish crowd, cushions fleeing all over the place, way up high.
Not happy.
Oh, not happy, boys.
You played for Scotland. Who was the best Scottish player you played with?
Oh, the outstanding player of my era was Davy Mackay, Spurs, Hearts, Spurs, Derby County, and I think he went on somewhere else from Derby, I can't remember where. But he was by far the greatest player.
What made him head and
era.
shoulders above?
No, he was just good at everything. He could stroke the ball, he could pass the ball, he could header the ball. He wasn't outstanding in any of these areas, but he was so good in every one of them that he was a one-man team almost, Davy. He was a great player. I mean, I played with him in the Scottish team, and I played against him lots of times in the English First Division in the 60s, and he was definitely class.
Looking back, what was your most memorable time as a player? What was the highlight?
I think it was beating There's a lot of highlights, like winning the league, like getting to semi-final of the European Cup the following year with a wee team like Dundee. It was a big feat then. But there was also beating England at Wembley, 1963. That was a good Scottish side that day. That's the best I remember seeing a Scottish team for, you know, up until then certainly.
You left Arsenal and you went to the big team in England, Manchester United.
Yeah.
Happy times there, or was that just on the...
No, really. When I arrived there, I was a relatively old man arriving there with a bad knee. And they were 1 year after winning the European Cup.
Yeah.
That so many of them had gone over just that wee hill that the players get when they reach about the age of early 30s. And there was too many of them who are not as good as he used to be. But Matt Busby, he wasn't the manager. Rolf McGuinness was the manager, but to be honest, Matt Busby had just gone upstairs and was the manager. He was still the manager. He was telling Rolf what to do, basically. And they stuck with that team, and it wasn't a happy ship, really. George Best was at his worst with a drink. I mean, he wasn't a good. It wasn't a sad case, but it wasn't a good team when I was there. Those 3 years I was there, it was a very, and ultimately 2 years after I left, they were relegated. I could have seen it come. They were just a ship out of control, and it was all because they stuck with George Best. If they got rid of him about 1970, as they could have for great money, they had a chance, because he was a bad influence in the whole team. He was getting away with things that no one else was getting away with, or even trying to get away with. But I mean, it's not. I think he was just hooked by alcohol by that time, and it wasn't a happy ship.
You now come to watch Kilmarnock most Saturdays.
Yeah. For my pains.
You ever wish you'd pulled on the stripes?
No, as a boy, when I grew up in Ayr, Somerset Park I lived very close to Somerset Park in those days when I was a boy, and I used to go and see Norrie McNeil and that Bob Thine that used to play here. He was a brute centre half. He used to kick all the Ayr players all over Somerset Park.
Not hard enough as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, he was a brute. Bob Thine.
You've watched Kilmarnock this season, been very disappointing. Some great results against the bigger teams, and then terrible against teams we should be beating.
Yeah.
Could you see anything why that should be the case as a football man?
I don't really know. I don't know. They're trying hard enough. Everyone seems to be trying, but I think in the Scottish First Division or Premier, whatever they call it now, I think the teams are much of a muchness. I don't think there's too much between all the teams, apart from the exception of maybe Celtic. And usually one other from and this year it's been Aberdeen, but the rest of the teams are, you couldn't differentiate between them.
Finally, Ian, it's a long time since you stopped playing. Do you ever wish you could still get there on a Saturday? And
I realise obviously it's a long time since I stopped playing. I think I chucked in 73, well, it chucked me with a so bad knee. I felt fit enough, but my knee was shot. I'd love to go, especially with the dosh they're getting nowadays. I mean, when I think of it, we made pennies in my day. Honestly, you wouldn't realise. You wouldn't
that's a different
believe.
world now, isn't it?
And now they're making two and a half hundred. What is it? 250,000 a week? No, a year, a week. I never earned. John Terry earns more in 3 days, from Monday to Wednesday in Kosovo, and I made him a whole 16 years, most of it at the top. So that tells a story about what we didn't make, the money we didn't get. And I'm quite bitter about it. I'm not bitter, but it's just envious is the word.
Envious.
Envious. I mean, it is a bit of obscenity nowadays, I think, that money they're getting. It's a total obscenity. And I'm told it's going to get bigger. The wages are going to rise, there's all kinds of extra TV money coming in next year, and they're going to get more and more and more. It's, I suppose, £1 million a week, but the players not too far away. No, you're laughing, but I don't think it is. I don't think it will be.